It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at a small card game called Pyramid of the Sun from Strawberry Studio, actually, the publisher of this game. Now, you might recognize the box size and the really attractive artwork from Strawberry Studio, who's made now a line of these games. And they are very bright, very colorful, extremely cute games usually, and also usually games for kids, sometimes very little kids. Pyramid of the Sun is the one that feels a little bit more advanced than that. It says ages 8 and up. And there's actual scoring here, as in there's a little more to think about. There's tactics here, you know. Let me show you how the game works. We'll come on back and we'll see if this is a game from Strawberry Studio that maybe could be, used and enjoyed by gamers. Here we go. Alright, so here we have the game set up for 3 players. Normally, the base of the pyramid would be longer than this, but I just shrunk it so I could show you how the game works and get the whole thing on the screen. Every player is going to have a scoring marker that they put on this little scoring track here, made up of 2 little cards. And there's a stack of cards here as well that they'll take as their scores go above, of course, 10. And that'll tell you how much more you have. And then we've shuffled up the 2 decks. These are cards that are central cards. They have no edges on them. Sometimes they'll have a symbol. The base, as you can see, has some symbols. And then the other deck has sides, and they'll be on the 2 different sides depending on the kind you draw. Or they'll be the very top of the pyramid like that one. And of course they have a number as well. And everyone has been dealt a starting hand. So here's what you do on your turn. You do one of 2 things. You can draw 2 cards. You take them from either deck, whatever combination you want. And then you discard down to 5. Or you play cards. You play as many as you want and you score. When you play a card, you are going to score some victory points. So for instance, let's say I'm going to play this card here. You play the cards over 2 other cards. They have to be supported, and the pyramid, of course, will shrink and shrink until you get to the very top, which is when the game is over. When you play a card, you're going to score one of 2 things, whichever one is lower, the level of the pyramid or the number on the card. And so in this case, this is the first level, 0, the bottom doesn't count. So first level here, the number is a 4, I get 1 point. Between a 1 and a 4, the 1 is lower, so I just would give myself a point. And then I could play, let's say, here, that's a 7 or a 1. Again, I would just get 1 point. And I could play this one, which is a level 2 or a 2 on the card, same thing. So I would get 2 points and so on. I can stop whenever I want to when I'm playing cards. I can play as many as I want. However, the other thing you can try to do is line up these symbols so that they are adjacent. When I play this card, I get 1 point, and the symbol lets me do one of 2 things. I can draw a card and continue my turn, or I can, and that doesn't take into account how many symbols I'm touching. It doesn't matter, I draw 1 card, or I score a point immediately for every symbol I am adjacent to, not counting the one I just played. So if I do that first, I score my 1 point, and then I could draw a card and keep going. And I might do this one, which gets me a point, and let's say another card, and then I'll play one more right here for 2 points, and I'll end my turn. I have 3 cards, I'm good. It's the next player's turn, and they will start by playing this one here. Gets them 1 point, and they'll take a bonus point, and then they'll play nothing else. And then the next player, because again, you want to be careful you're not just setting someone else up. Next player over here is going to play right there. That gets them 2 points. And this is going to be green. 2 points, and they could take another one for the symbol, let's say. And then they will play one up here. They'll probably, okay, let's say they do this instead. They'll play that there, because they're touching 2 symbols. They'll take the 2 bonus points and the 1 for playing the card. And then they'll play up here, which is a 6 or level 3. So they'll just take the 3, 1, 2, 3. And they'll stop there. They'll keep that. Back to me. Let's say I'm going to draw instead. I could draw from either pile, as I said. So I'll draw 1 from here, and then I'll draw 1 from here. Whenever it comes back around to me, let's say this spot is still open, I could play this card here, which is one of these sides. When you play a normal card, it scores normally. When you play a side card, you are going to double the score you would normally get. And so for playing this card, I would get 4 points instead of 2. It's at level 2, the number is 2, so that's what I'm scoring, but doubled. And then finally, of course, as you can see, you can play normal stones there. And then finally, the very tippy top of the pyramid, which is when the game will be over, you can play a top of pyramid card here, which would triple the score you're going to get. So obviously it would be much higher than a third level, but let's say I play this one at the very top, I get 9 points for that card. You can play a regular card up there, and you just get whatever you would get. So it does not necessarily have to end with one of these, but you're probably going to try for that. And as you can tell, the turns allow you to do as much as you can. So there's this huge game of chicken that gets played as you start getting near the top of the pyramid, where if there are 5 cards missing, it's quite possible that player is just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and score it. And if they have a tippy top, they're going to get a bajillion points. Okay, so that's it. That's how the game works. I think that'll give you a good idea of how the whole thing operates. As I said, the more you keep scoring around the track here, you are going to start getting these. That I know you can't quite tell, but it says plus 10, then plus 20, plus 30, which again is kind of hard to read, plus 40, and so on until game's over and you see who has the highest score, and that player is the winner. So let's go back up top now. Let me tell you what I thought of this game. Alright, so there it is. Let me just start by saying, before I get to my target audience system here, that I don't really enjoy the game. So I'll just put that out there, and hopefully I can elaborate on why I feel that way. The thematic ties here are nice. I like the theme of the game matching the geometric layout of the game, so that's nice. The aesthetics of the game are pretty good. Card quality is okay. The artwork is very nice. There are a few printing mistakes on the scoring cards especially, which I think I mentioned in the overview, which are problematic. They're not game-breaking, but they make some of that usability go down. And also I'll talk about that in just a little bit. Replayability here, I did not find it to be highly replayable. Once you've played a few times, you've kind of seen everything the game has to offer, and you are top-decking cards when you draw them, so there's no, you're not going to be trying for something new, you know. Scalability, as in how many players can play, it's okay, but again, the replayability is not there, so it doesn't really matter. And there's one other issue I have with the scalability that I'll come back to. Game length is fine. The game does not outstay its welcome, and in fact, they let you adjust how long it'll be by deciding how wide the base of the pyramid is, to 6, 7, or 8 cards, not including the 2 on the side. So I like that. Ease of play, which is fiddliness, the age appropriateness. I find the scoring to be very fiddly and super annoying in this game with the 2 little half cards. Pushed together. Everything else, stacking the stones on top of one another, that's fine, and that works well. I just don't like the scoring. The entire thing they did for the scoring. They had that unfortunate printing mistake, and then scoring, moving your little stone across the 2 cards, I find fiddly. Not game-breaking, just kind of annoying. And then lastly, tactics and strategy, and that's luck as well. Here's my big issue with this one. The turn-to-turn I kind of enjoy, not setting another player up I kind of enjoy. But the game, every time I've played, devolves into everybody, halfway up the pyramid playing chicken, and then finally somebody can play a bunch of cards to finish it, and they destroy anybody else playing. And I mean destroy them by 20 points. And that's just not fun. And I can't think of a way to fix it. I've thought about it. I've mentioned it to players before we play, and no matter what, the end of the game always leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. I enjoy the rest of the game. I like this idea of score the card or score the level, whichever one's lower, because you'll find yourself drawing like 6s and holding on to them for later. Fine. But the end of the game ruins the rest of the game for me, and it's happened every time I've played. So I don't know how that could be fixed, but it makes the game, for me, considerably less interesting, because I just find everything else that you did before unnecessary. It's like those kinds of games where you play the first time and they tell you like whoever wins the first round scores 1 point. Whoever wins the second round scores 2 points. Whoever wins the third round scores 10 points. And it's like, so why are we playing the first and second round? That's how this feels. Why are we playing the rest of the pyramid when whoever gets to the end just right, which you can't really manipulate that well because you don't know how many cards other people are going to play. Whoever can just finagle those final 4 or 5 cards is probably just going to destroy everyone else, So that's my big issue here. Scalability, which I said I would come back to, simply compounds the problem. If you're playing with too many people, then you're really just sort of shooting in the dark because you don't know who is going to get that final hurrah to push towards the top. So that's it for me. This one is very attractive. And besides the printing issues, which I already talked about, I find to be a very pretty package. I just don't like the game that much, unfortunately. And I was really hoping to like this game. I like the company. I think they're doing very good stuff. I like the designer even. The designer has, I should say, done a few games I really like and a few I don't like so much. This one, unfortunately, is one of the latter. And I would just say you can safely skip this one. Maybe try it. If it really, really captivates you in the overview, give it a shot. Maybe play someone's copy, But for me, this is one that I would say you can kind of pass on. There's other games that sort of do something very similar without that big game end issue.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.